Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another preview and predictions video. The team that we're going to be taking an in-depth look at today is our 2024 USC Trojans football team. We're going to do a complete preview of their total roster, seeing which pieces they lost from last year's squad, what pieces they're bringing in, but also looking at their entire 2024 college football schedule, trying to see which games we think they're going to win, lose, and what we predict their final record will be. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. If you have any comments, drop them below and I will make sure to respond. So USC, looking at the team that we have coming in here, Vegas is predicting them to come in at 7.5 wins. Seems kind of low for a USC-type talent team, but the schedule is actually pretty difficult for this upcoming season. So obviously this team has a massive spotlight on them. You have Lincoln Riley as the head coach. You have all of the drama that went on with their defense. Now these defensive issues go back with Alec Grinch, back to when they were at Oklahoma. So it was a problem that Lincoln Riley never actually fixed. So there was a lack of effort, and there's also been some recruiting issues that have been going on with USC for the last couple of weeks. So they've been catching a lot of heat from the media there. But don't get it wrong. Lincoln Riley is a great coach. He is the best offensive mind in all of football. The talent is actually there for this team to compete in the 2024 season. But the road ahead does have its challenges. Now, there's been some coaching changes, and there's also the switch to the extremely competitive Big Ten Conference. So USC needs to cement themselves this season, or they're going to fall behind competitively in the Big Ten, because there's a lot of big leagues in that conference. Now, these defenses, they're going to be big. They're going to be fast. So questions still linger about USC's offensive line, and then there's also the questions about their new look defense. The Big Ten is loaded with top 20 defenses. They have about 6 or 7 teams that are going to be ranked in the top 20 in total defenses for this upcoming season. But Riley's shown that he can score on anyone. If the game turns into a shootout, you always have a chance to win when you have an offense that can score anywhere from 40 to 50 points on any given Saturday. He's actually never had lower than the number 8 total offense in the 7 years that he's been coaching. So he's always been 8 or better every single season. He has 3 Heisman winners in 7 years. He has 4 Heisman finalists. But Caleb Williams, he's now gone off to the NFL. Miller Moss steps in as the starting quarterback, but he did show out in the bowl game that he played last season, and they still have Branch at wide receiver, who's probably the most electric wide receiver in all of college football. You have the running back, Woody Marks, who's the transfer from Mississippi State. He lit things up back when Mississippi State was led by Mike Leach, so he's definitely going to be happy to be back in an air raid offense. He can run physically, but he also catches the ball really well out of the backfield. He will love being back in the air raid. The defensive coordinator, Alec Grinch, thank God, he was let go way too late. He probably should have been gone back when he was with the Sooners. And they're bringing in D'Anton Lynn, who was the UCLA defensive coordinator, who completely revamped their entire defense in one season. Can he mimic that result at USC? They went from 87th to number 11th last season. This guy can call defensive plays. They also have the North Dakota State head coach coming over to close linebackers. They have Eric Henderson, who's the new DL coach. They have Doug Belk, who's the secondary coach. This is a loaded defensive staff. It's just, will we be able to see the results in year one, especially in a new conference? Questions still linger about the depth and the talent at every single level. And this schedule is going to be tough. They're going to be beat up by the second half. Depth is going to be a big question. Let's take a look at their schedule. They kick things off with a rough game. Sunday, September 1st versus LSU. Out of the gate, out of conference game versus LSU, who's in a very similar situation to USC. The offensive coordinator, Denbrock, he's gone to Notre Dame. They lost their Heisman winner, Jayden Daniels, lost a lot of first-round talent at the wide receiver position. They have Nussmeier stepping in, who obviously has a big arm. The wide receiver weapons are there. The offensive line weapons are there. But questions on their new look defense. Their defense was just as pathetic as the Trojans last season. So who's going to have the jump here? Who's going to get started on the right foot? I have LSU winning game 1 as of right now. USC starting the season 0-1, but I think it's going to be a shootout, 38-35. Next game, Saturday, September 7th, versus Utah State. This is a game for USC to kind of fix some of the things that they were starting out wrong off on game one. They're going to rebound here, big one, 50-17, and they're 1-1. Saturday, September 21st. Now you're getting into Big Ten physical, slug 'em out, trenches play. They're going to be at Michigan in the Big House. Michigan is also a new-look team. Obviously, Harbaugh's gone. They lost everyone on the offense except for one player, the tight end. But a lot of their defensive players are back. They're going to have a top defense still, very talented physical defense. But a lot of their talents, fresh talent, they haven't been starters before. I have USC coming here just because this is your first really physical trench game. I have them losing this one at Michigan in a lower scoring game, probably like a 27-24 game. They lose, they're 1-2. If they won this game, I would not be surprised. If the offense picks up right where Caleb Williams left off, and there's no hiccup starting this year, I do think they win this game. But they're 1-2. Next game, Saturday, September 28th versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin, you don't want to look over. Luke Fickell, talented team. You have Tyler Van Dyke transferring at the quarterback. You have Phil Longo as the offensive coordinator. They had a top 25 defense last season. A lot of those guys are back. The defense is still going to be good. It's just, can they get first downs? Can USC's defense keep them from getting those first downs? I have USC getting back in the win column, beating Wisconsin. This game's going to be a 30-21 game. USC is 2-2. Then Saturday, October 5th at Minnesota. PJ Fleck and the Gophers, sometimes they have a really stacked team. Defensively, physical running game, but they've kind of fallen off the last few years. I have USC continuing their winning ways at Minnesota. They win this one 30-17. They're 3-2. Then after that, Saturday, October 12th versus Penn State. Another tough. There's so many top 25 teams that they have to play through. Penn State had the number one total defense in all of college football last season. Manny Diaz is gone, but Tim Allen is back as the defensive coordinator. You have James Franklin. You have Drew Aller. You have one of the deepest running back rooms in all the country. I think Penn State leans on the running game here. They know that USC doesn't have the depth on the defensive line to stop them from running the ball downhill. Penn State gets a win, and also a low-scoring game, 27-24, USC's 3-3. Then Saturday, October 19th at Maryland, they lost to Availoa, the quarterback. This is a team that sometimes is pretty gifted on offense, but they really don't have the talent level to where they should be able to keep up with USC. But I honestly think this game's going to be close. I think it's going to turn into a shootout, but USC wins it 40-33, and USC's 4-3. Saturday, October 26th versus Rutgers. A lot of people might laugh at this game. Do not underestimate Rutgers. Rutgers is actually a really physical team, and they had a top 25 defense. Whenever your defense is top 25, that should at least keep the game close. But I have USC really starting to roll here. Things are really starting to click. The offense is gelling, and the defense is starting to show those results. I have USC winning this game versus Rutgers. It's going to be let's say a 34-21 game, and USC's 5-3. Then Saturday, November 2nd at Washington. This would have been a fun game last season, but Washington's been completely depleted. Kalen Deboer is now the head coach at Alabama. You have Jed Fish coming in. You have Will Rogers stepping in as the quarterback. The rest of the squad completely decimated by the NFL, and a lot of guys transferred out. It's a whole new look team. There's going to be a massive talent gap here. USC should win this one. I'm going to say a 45-20 game, and they're 6-3. Saturday, November 16th, versus Nebraska. Nebraska also had a top 20 defense last season. They have the 5-star quarterback coming in. They have Matt Rule. I think they're going to have a really good year this year, 7 or 8 win team. But I do have USC stealing this one at the end of the season. It's going to be 38-27. USC is 7-3. Saturday, November 23rd at UCLA. UCLA, obviously Lynn is now with the Trojans. Chip Kelly's the offensive coordinator for the Buckeyes. Team was completely decimated. They only have one quarterback returning from last year's team. I have USC putting a beat down on them, 50-20. USC is 8-3. Then they close out the year. They're feeling pretty hot right now. They're on a 5-game winning streak. They close out Saturday, November 30th versus Notre Dame. A lot of questions about Notre Dame. They have a pretty easy schedule this season. You have Riley Leonard coming over as the quarterback. You are going to have a top 10 defense. They're going to be loaded. A strong offensive line. One of their better running back rooms that they've had in a really long time. By this point of the season, they're probably going to be running pretty hot looking at the playoffs. USC's looking for respectability, trying to end on a high note. I think they play this game extremely tough and close, and I think it's a 28-24. Notre Dame wins it to close out the year. USC ends 8-4. So I'm going with the over on the Vegas at 7.5 wins. And I do think Lincoln Riley sets the foundation. I think 8-4 is not a great season, but you could be borderline top 25, maybe around number 23 or 24 at this point of the season. And I think the recruiting starts to pick up in the offseason because the defense has showed improvements. Never underestimate Lincoln Riley. The guy's going to throw it up. They're going to score, and that's always going to bring in talent. USC finishes the regular season 8-4. That's my breakdown of our 2024 Trojans. Go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe. If you have any comments, drop them below, and I'll respond. Thanks.